Alrighty, good morning. Yesterday, I decided I was going to switch the 302 to a front sump oil setup for the pan, and I ordered it from Speedway at like 4 o'clock yesterday, and it was delivered here today at my house at like 11 a.m., so that was pretty quick. Alright, let's go ahead and get these boxes open, see what the new stuff looks like. Alright, here's everything. Front sump oil pan gaskets, and front sump pickup tube. The only thing I'm disappointed about this order is I didn't get any free swag. I really like it when I get stickers with my order, so Speedway Motors, if you're watching, just send a free sticker with every order over $100, please. Alright, converting it from rear sump to front sump is super simple. Unbolt your old oil pickup tube, bolt on your new one with the supplied gasket. And when it comes to this gasket mating surface inside the engine, I do not use RTV. I just let the gasket do the work. Just like that. Now it's time to get some RTV silicone and get the gaskets put on the oil pan. Got the gaskets RTV silicone in place. Time to stick the pan on. And then you throw on the oil pan. Now it's a front sump oil pan, and all of that room right there will be wonderful right here. So let's get that bitch set back in there and hopefully tacked in place today. Because once the engine's tacked in place, I got to go through the painstaking process of setting the cab back over it, make sure everything clears. Everything clears, the cab comes back off. I finish welding things, we pull the motor out, we prime and paint the chassis. Lots of work, lots of fun. Alright, before I set the engine in, I went and got a 3/4 inch thick piece of wood, taped it on the cross member, so that way I'll have 3/4 of an inch of spacing. A lot of guys, when they do these swaps, they don't cut out their cross member like I did and flip the center, but doing that allows me to go quite a bit lower, about an inch lower. So with that block in there, the bottom of my oil pan will be sitting right about where the top of the cross member used to be. So got that spacer in there. Let's see if we can get that set in there. Fingers crossed. All right, the engine is sitting just a hair further forward than I thought I was gonna have to do, but I like where it's sitting. We're centered in between the frame. We got 16 inches dead center off of a 32 inch outside width. The engine is sitting just past level, so when I lower the rear end, we'll get level. Might have to lower that just a hair more. Yeah, we're all centered. I moved my wooden block to sit like this instead. Made a longer one. I don't see any contact points. The engine mounts are bolted in, ready to be tacked in place. Take a few more measurements off the front of the engine, make sure everything's centered up here. I think I'm ready to tack it in place, and then throw a temporary brace across here for the transmission to just sit on, because I'm not going to make anything permanent just in case I have to move it. But after getting that new oil pan, things are moving along so freaking smooth. I love it. Alright, here we go. That is so exciting. I've never done anything this big my whole life. I've been somewhat of a mechanic growing up with my dad. Poor, we fixed everything. If we don't know how to do it, we learned how to do it. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Motor mounts are tacked in. I got my handy dandy fence post temporary cross member set in there. Now on these motor mounts, these are homemade ones. It's hard to tell, but there's a washer on either side on the inside. That way, when I weld it and I take it out, there's just a tiny gap in there. That way the motor mounts will drop in and out without having to fight, push, pull, prod. But yeah, that's pretty exciting. Now for difficult parts, we'll have to get that cab picked up in the air again, get this thing dollied over there, set the cab back down, drop some bolts in it, look around, make sure everything's tight, or make sure everything isn't too tight and there's room. After that, pull the cab back off, weld off shit, get the cross member built, probably build the cross member while the cab's still on just to make sure nothing moves. And after that, we'll start wire brushing, grinding, treating the rust on the frame, prime everything, paint everything black, set the cab back on, start going to town with wiring, fuel lines, the works. So stay tuned. This is pretty exciting for me. Probably not that exciting for a lot of people because other people have done this kind of stuff. But this is my first big project and I'm stoked. And right here, there was a tube that went all the way through from the factory. It's kind of like that one, but the hoop was on the bottom side because the old transmission was so small, it would slide through there. It might fit the hoop like that, but if it doesn't, I'm going to build a cross member, and I'm going to cross brace it from here back to that cross member, just like that. Then back here, there will also be a cross brace that goes from these tubes back to these tubes. So we'll cross brace that just to give the frame a little bit more lateral strength. Big things are happening. Like I said, I still got to get a rear end for it. Chevy Colorado is what I'm going to go with because I can't really afford to get a shortened 9-inch. And the Chevy Colorado has the same bolt pattern. I can put disc brakes on it. There's no aftermarket or even stock parts I can find for this old Mazda axle. Even if I could, I don't imagine they sold stuff strong enough to handle a 302. Yes, it's a stock 302 for now. So we'll bolt it up and go from there. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.